Federal Appellate Court heard arguments over Hawaii's lawsuit challenging President Trump's so-called travel ban yesterday. The Attorney General of Hawaii weighed in after the hearing.
Our point was that an objective observer looking at all this would have no other conclusion but that this executive order is trying to denigrate a religion. And really that just comes from the fact that when you have a president who came up with the terms Muslim ban and was saying that from the very beginning, that really is what was going on in people's minds, even with the second executive order.
Let's bring in former New York appellate and Supreme Court judge and partner at Lynn, Gardner, Dunn, and Covello. Joe Covello is with us. Judge, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning.
What is the significance of yesterday's hearing?
Well, yesterday's hearing is ascertaining whether or not they're going to continue the ban and whether or not it may go on to the entire court. And by and large, the most important thing is delay here. Each time the president passes a ban of some sort, and this ban on its face is clearly objective, it clearly passes muster. As a matter of fact, the attorney for the ACLU was asked if any other person passed this bill, would you be here? And the answer was no. It's only because of what the president said during the campaign that's caused people concern. And the court asked them, is it really fair to do that? And the answer is a clear no, not my opinion.
But and in fact, the attorney representing the White House and the government said that Trump even backed away from those statements that he made during the campaign. But again, then you're arguing the point of the attorney general of the state that somehow what he said during the campaign was relevant. And how are you going to get around that? Because it seems kind of astonishing, but this is what these judges are standing on.
And it's working.
Right.
Alan Dershowitz said in one of his articles, this isn't constitutional analysis, this is psychoanalysis, trying to ascertain what the president was thinking at the time he signed an executive order, which really isn't the test. Under Mandel, the test is whether or not there's a rational basis. And also in the Dershowitz article, it's asked of Willie Sutton, the famous bank robber, why did you pick banks to rob? And he said, because that's where the money is. Yeah. And, you know, obviously with the president, why did you pick these 6 countries? That's where the terrorists are.
And the list came from President Obama, let's be clear.
Yes.
I don't understand this. Can you explain why it is that people against the ban are using what the president said during the campaign, calling it a Muslim ban, against him, an executive order that he signed as president months later? I don't get the legal rationale why something he said months earlier could be used as the main case against him.
The only answer I can come up with is President Trump. Obama used it 19 times, Clinton used it 12 times, Bush used it 5, and Reagan used it 6. So it's nothing new. It's been used over 30 times, but only because President Trump is saying it. Right. And because
you mean country, when you say used it, you mean country-specific bans?
Yes,
right.
Yes.
Well, they hate him, Don Peebles. That's the issue.
Yeah, but isn't justice supposed to be blind, and justice is available to you and me regardless of what our beliefs are, and we all get fair treatment under the law? So is the fact of what Donald Trump said during the campaign relevant from a legal perspective? No.
No, it should be what's before you at the present time. And the motive, it's a rational basis test. There is a rational basis. These countries are threats to our security, and the president is trying to protect us.
So then in order for the court to find against the president, there'd have to be a finding that there was no rational basis for the ban? Is that?
Well, no rational basis, or that he has bad motives, or a pretext. He's using security of the country. I mean, but we're not banning other countries, other Muslim countries. We're only banning these. So it's not a Muslim ban. The word Muslim's not even in.
Indonesia and India are two of the
Indonesia,
most
India.
populous.
That's right.
But isn't his role as a chief executive, or the commander-in-chief, rather, isn't his role to protect all of us from foreign and domestic enemies?
Absolutely.
And so this is an act within his authority and his prescribed role?
Yes, absolutely. I mean,
so how could a court find that he had
so
how could a court reasonably find that he was acting with malicious intent?
We'll have to see. I mean, the district courts found, I mean, listen, you judge shop at the district court level. They find perhaps the most liberal judge in the country and the most liberal circuit, and they go there. It's not a coincidence that they picked the ninth and perhaps
Isn't that a fundamental flaw with the country, then, that we can't have equal justice and the law can't be applied equally? Look, I deal with this as a business person. I'm more likely to get the law followed in New York state courts versus, say, South Florida courts, for example. But
that's why it's probably going to end up in the Supreme Court, right? Yes. I mean, is that where this goes?
I hope. I'm concerned about it timing out and whether or not the Supreme Court will take something that the ship may have already
It's supposed to be a 6-month ban. It's not going to get resolved for 3 or 4 years.
He should just move on. And actually, the acting Solicitor General yesterday indicated there are other ways for the president to do this. They could issue visas and then suspend them. But that wouldn't be fair to those people who showed up on our shores and were turned away. So they're trying to do it in the correct legal way, and they just meet obstacle after obstacle. And I'm not sure he's ever going to get this through in a timely fashion. Yeah. And my suggestion is, President, move on. Do your study. Actually, I was talking to my partner yesterday, and I said, is there a stay on the study? I mean, that would be absolutely bizarre. And it came up yesterday in the argument before the Ninth Circuit, where one of the judges asked the attorney for the government, was there a stay on doing the study? And he said, we went back to the judge and asked him, and the judge said, yes, I've stayed you from, in essence, Mr. President, doing your job.
Wow. How about this? In a blow to a voter identification movement, the Supreme Court rejected an appeal to reinstate North Carolina ballot restrictions yesterday. So the ruling strikes down requirements for voters to show their photo ID at polling sites. What's your take on this, Judge Covello? How is it possible that you don't need an ID to vote?
Well, in this situation, the law was struck, but the Chief Judge of the Supreme Court, in a very rare situation, wrote an opinion in denying the cert, and in essence said, don't think we're looking at the merits of this case, because we're not. So this precedent is not really perhaps our opinion. It's just that it's a procedural nightmare in this one case, and they try to pick cases, cherry-pick cases that will be exactly on point, and they are able to exactly give their opinion without all the procedural stuff. And that's all that happened here. So I don't really think it's a major victory for the liberals, as they would have you think. Chief Judge Roberts said, we're not passing on the merits of this case, and we'll get another one, and we'll decide that one.
That's an important issue, because that's why people feel like there's some voter fraud going on. And you don't even need an ID. You need an ID for everything. Judge, thank you. Great insights from you. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you again.
Judge Joe Covello joining us there.